Friends, I'm here with you today to share a method that helped me lose weight. They subscribe, ask questions, and sometimes athletes even prepare professionally for competitions. It's still a big science, but there are a lot of women, men, and school children who don't have a professional medical or sports education. Their goal isn't to compete in the Mr. Olympia contest. They just come and say, look, I have a belly, it's big, I need it to get smaller. And I don't dream about having a six-pack, I just want to go from being fat to not being fat. First of all, we're not talking about a professional athlete, but about a person who is overweight and needs to lose that extra weight as efficiently as possible. And to do it differently than usual. Stories about starting a diet on Monday, lasting a few days or a week, then facing health issues and regaining weight only to return to your usual routine. The diet for such people should be one that they can simply tolerate. Secondly, it should be as effective as possible. And indeed, the weight will go away really quickly. I've tried various diets, and the most effective are for those needing significant weight loss.
And this diet is suitable for staying on it for quite a long time, for eating this way for a long period. It's a protein-carb alternation diet.
Since our section is for people less into sports, I'll remind you, proteins are mainly meat, carbohydrates are mostly grains, and there are also fats. I see. What's the essence? Let's look. The idea is simple. We eat based on certain days, some with high carbohydrates. And basically, we get our energy from grains. For example, that's buckwheat, that's pasta. There are days when we mainly eat protein, and our main source of energy is protein. So we mostly eat meat and salads, but we hardly eat any carbohydrates. And this alternation creates an amazing cool effect. There are diets called, for example, the Dukan diet or keto diets, where you eat only proteins. What is the downside of these diets? Well, besides the fact that you'll smell bad when you enter ketosis, the downside is that it's generally not suitable for many people. It increases the risk of constipation, and it's not suitable for people with serious gastrointestinal problems. And try eating only protein. It's very difficult because all people who have excess body weight from the chest, and let's add the belly button too, they're all sweet tooths, they're all carb addicts, and they need carbs, and they can handle this diet without carbs. 3, 5, 7, 10. Of course, there is a result, but then their strength leaves them, and it's very hard for them to train in the gym. As you know, diet alone is not enough. You always need to go to the gym as well. Hello friends. Under this video, a diet appeared that looks very simple, and it goes like this. The first day, let's say Monday, is a high protein day. We'll call it a protein day. The second day is also high protein. Well, let's say the third day, I'll give you two options. The third and fourth days. So there are two diet options. There's an option where we eat almost only proteins, and on the last day, it's a carbohydrate day. And there's also a day when we eat 50-50. So what's the point? Mostly proteins, mostly proteins. On the third day, when you have little strength left, when your energy is running out, we allow ourselves to add 50-50 to the diet, meaning we add carbohydrates, and the last day is mostly carbohydrates. What makes this diet unique, and what should you know? People on this diet start by, for example, eating only chicken breast, salads, trout, or mackerel on Monday, and their weight drops very quickly. Everyone says, wow, that's cool. 2 days minus 2 kilograms. Friends, that's not realistic. The weight will go down well and effectively, mainly due to fat tissue. But you have to understand that all these diets our moms talk about, like I lost 5 kilograms in 3 days on cucumbers, there are no miracles. What causes weight loss? It typically occurs on the first, second, or sometimes third day. It's because of something called glycogen. Glycogen. First of all, what is glycogen? Glycogen is the main way our body stores carbohydrates. And where is glycogen mainly stored? It's in the liver, and in the muscles. So when we start this diet, on that day, we begin to use up glycogen. Especially when you work out, you burn it too. 1 gram of glycogen holds about 4 grams of water. They calculated it, yeah. On average, an athlete, let's say someone with my build, has about 350 grams of glycogen in their body, 350 grams of glycogen, and each gram of glycogen will also hold about 4 grams of water. This explains that miraculous super weight loss effect when you start a protein diet, and in the first 2 days, you suddenly show an amazing result. But then, for some reason, it doesn't continue at the same pace. It's simple. Those 2 kilograms of weight, 2 kilograms of weight. Then the weekend comes, you start eating, and you're surprised that everything you lost came back so quickly. You always need to take these weight fluctuations into account. That's just water weight shifting. You'll notice less swelling by day 3 or 4. Glycogen is limited since carbohydrates are its main source, and we've eliminated them. We've used up our glycogen and begin burning fat stores for energy as we're consuming very little fat. But you can't keep this up for long. Your energy runs out. And that's why we have a wonderful carbohydrate day. When we eat pasta all day, when we eat grains all day, and we have plenty of energy. And everyone is afraid. They say, I ate on this day and I immediately gained weight. We ate carbohydrates, we restored our nervous system, we satisfied our taste buds because all people who are overweight want carbohydrates. Can you imagine? He eats carbohydrates all day. But there is a rule. Before it gets stored as fat, first the depot gets filled. The carbohydrates you consume here go into the depot. And plus, you immediately gain water. That's why there's often weight gain after a carbohydrate day, but it's just water. You go back to protein days, your glycogen goes away again, and along with the glycogen, water starts to leave your body and your weight drops. Weight. That's why on this diet, our weight drops like this. We lower and lower the carbs, lower and lower the carbohydrates, lower and lower the carbohydrates. It won't always be steady, it will fluctuate. If, for example, you stayed on this diet for a long time, say a month, and lost 8 kilograms, those 8 kilograms will be weight you lost the right way. You will change for the better compared to just being on a no-carb diet. Because when you load up on carbs on intermediate or carb days, you get glycogen and you have more energy for your workouts. You'll feel more energetic during workouts and avoid brain fog. It's easier to stick to a diet on protein days when you know you'll get carbs in a few days rather than just having only protein days. It's hard, you have to admit. I'm speaking for myself. As someone who loves carbs, this kind of diet worked for me. I've tried different diets. So if you need to lose weight, and especially if you have a problem with willpower, this is the best option. Sometimes people write that they tried this diet, stayed on it for 4 weeks, their weight dropped from 75 to 60, and then they can't lose anymore. I'm in the alternating phase. Something's wrong. What's the matter? The thing is, sometimes you need cheat meals. Cheat meal is the first thing we sometimes need. And refeed. What's the fundamental difference? They both need a cheat meal. We know that even on these days we're still eating the right foods, but sometimes we just want something that's not so healthy. That's why we'll eat this unhealthy food with you on a carb day and allow ourselves one meal. Let's say you went to a restaurant and ordered everything your heart desires. Sweets, fried foods, pastries, as much as you want, but just for one meal. And sometimes, after this meal, you really feel full of energy. Athletes load up like this. Sometimes you wake up in the morning with swollen veins, sometimes you can be really puffy, and sometimes, on the contrary, you actually look more defined. Because stress hormones decrease and the body releases this excess cortisol water that causes swelling. That's a cheat meal, but there are also refeeds. Cheat meals aren't always needed. I suggest only having cheat meals after at least a month or month and a half on the diet, since your body can easily handle that time without them. Sometimes refeeds are truly necessary. What are refeeds? That's when you feel that after a carb day, you didn't get that fullness, your muscles, you don't have enough energy, and your weight loss has slowed down. A refeed is when you additionally consume extra carbohydrates. That's why you can do 2 carb days in a row, meaning you just add another carb day, and then you really feel fuller and better. Then we return to protein days. It's important to know the term fried cake. What does fried cake mean? Well, you probably don't fry cakes, but you do eat them. This ice cream is the worst because it has lots of fats and carbohydrates, which is a bad mix. Gaining weight from ice cream is actually the easiest way. What does that mean? It means that on carbohydrate days, the amount of fats should be minimized, meaning fats are not allowed. You should consume as little as possible. In the classic version, on the other days, there should also be little fat. But fats are our main source for synthesizing many structural elements of our body and our hormones. It depends, but we're not writing this for an athlete who's on testosterone, but for a woman, for an ordinary guy, and that's why it's the classic version. Personally, I don't like it when they say you need 0.3 grams, 0.4 grams of fat per kilogram of body weight.
I don't think so.
I believe that we should only reduce fats to a minimum on carb days, and on other days we should keep fats at about 0. 607 per kilogram of body weight means women should have about 50-60 fat. And if you really came in with a big belly, big chest, and I'm talking to men here, if you just need to lose excess weight, I'll be honest with you, you'll get amazing results even if you don't count calories. And even if you don't weigh your food, just eating intuitively, when you have a lot of body mass, simply restructuring your meal plan gives you amazing results. So put the scales away, forget about calorie counters. Start with something simple. If you've never watched yourself and become a blob, begin by changing your eating habits. You've never counted before, so tracking everything in a calculator was tough. You decided to change your life and started on Monday. For example, chicken breast, vegetable salads with olive oil. Just go with that kind of style. You can have seafood, canned foods, and proteins. That's mostly what I do. By the way, how much protein and carbs you need, I'll probably add that in the video description or on my channel, so subscribe to my Telegram channel, I'll leave a link to it. That's why protein should stay low and carbs to a minimum. But how low is low carb? Some people say you need to bring it down to 0. I believe that in general, up to 50 grams of carbs is acceptable. That's how it was in my case. When I was following this diet, I didn't eat 50 grams of oatmeal, but rather 50 grams of carbs from oatmeal. Just so you know, I was preparing for this diet in the morning. At one of my first competitions, I got professionally shredded using this kind of nutrition protocol, so I was able to achieve a good physique. Many people say, steroids or not, nothing works without the right diet. Many European and American athletes use this nutrition protocol for 80-90% of their cutting phase. They use various tricks with glycogen during their prep. For example, when we were preparing with athletes, this is how we used it. We did low-carb days, and then by loading up on carbs, we filled the muscles, but we didn't drink water. And the water that the body released during the protein days was absorbed from the tissues, and all of it went into the muscles. And that's why, after a long period of protein fasting, the athlete could store more glycogen and draw in all the water. That's why, during the carb loading phase, by removing water and manipulating it, we achieved fullness. The muscles were literally wrapped tightly by the skin. But again, our goal and this diet and the style of eating I've described today are suitable for someone who just wants to lose weight. If you have a large body mass, I recommend checking what type of obesity you have. There are two types of obesity. Primary, where you're truly ill, and secondary, which is due to laziness. But very often, people with a large excess of body mass have both. It's bad when trainers push weightlifting without checking hormones, and when endocrinologists claim hormones fix everything. There should always be synergy. Hormones help, but physical activity is essential. So take this diet into account. If you have any diets of your own, I would appreciate it if you shared them. I'm interested because it functions like a Kalashnikov. This diet, if you have a lot of excess weight, will definitely help you lose weight if you lose weight with this diet. Then come back to this video and be sure to write in the comments, and in the meantime, share your own diet. Thanks for watching, subscribe, like, and see you soon.